Hey guys, welcome back to AFK Journey. In today's video, we're going to be doing our Lone Gaze Dream Realm guide. Now, keep in mind with this one, as we are in the season, you will be going through the different difficulties. I will update this at endless mode, but this is for progressing through different difficulties. As you can see, we are in common 2 at the moment. This is on my mate Nico's account on server 1, and I'm going to try and focus on free-to-play options that I think a lot of free-to-play players will have built up, that we can look at it, because honestly, the free-to-play options are the mainly ideal options we have in this one. So we'll go through a few different teams because there's some interesting stuff and interesting text that you guys might get some use out of, including Lucius randomly. So I will go through that. Not everyone will get it, but it will be maybe for some people. So let's go over here first of all. Massive shout out to Pridewin. They do have their guide here, which these are the staple type teams we're looking at. Odie, Thorin, Smokey, and Coco are going to be like staples on anyone's progression team throughout here. And then your last slot is Flex, and I will go through that Flex slot as well. And once again, if you do have that Mythic plus Rainier, you can go ahead and use him as well as an option. So let's jump back over into here and let's take a look at what I've been playing around with. Now, there are a few options. Like I said, this is going to be your core team. Normally, people would have something like this with Thorin at the front. Now, before we get into actually, let's talk about artifacts. This one's going to be your main one. Odie is just so meta. You'll see the damage this guy deals is insane. So this one helping Odie maximize his damage is good. However, in some clutch situations, if you're really struggling on early survival and stuff like that, you can maybe try this one as well. Just keep that in the back of your mind as an option. But this is the one we are looking at. Now, through testing, the problem that I have with the Lone Gaze is trying to protect your back row unit, which is the one that gets hunted down by the wolves. Now, this turned out to be my best process of doing it. Just keep in mind, my mate Nico, he does have a very low ascension Coco, so she does struggle. But even if you did have a high ascension Coco, I tried formations like this, trying to make Coco the main target. But the problem is, because Coco has a shorter range, especially once the boss jumps forward and jumps back once, she actually goes too far forward, and then either Smokey or Odie end up being the attack target, and then they just insta-die. Now, in this battle, Thorin is super important to have Mythic Plus. If you don't, you are just going to get lower scores, and unfortunately, that is the way it is, just due to the nature of the fight. So this is the best core setup that I have found for this team. With Thorin here, Odie at the back, depending on your formation, sometimes Odie does die in the last like 5-6 seconds. And once again, this will depend on what difficulty you're up to, whether you're going for 20% or more. There are varying factors. But like I said, you've got to experiment with these things. There is no one size fits all, because you are working through different difficulties, where sometimes you're only dying just at the end, but sometimes you're dying super early. And if you're dying super early, then that is where maybe something like this comes into play. But for now, where we're at, we're pushing like sort of 70%, I think it is, or something on this boss. So this works really well for us, and you will see that. So this formation basically enables Odie to guarantee himself being the back row position, and also being linked to Thorin for protection. Once again, if you don't have Mythic plus Thorin, it is just going to be a bigger struggle, and you will have units die. And in that case, you kind of want to get Odie up further to protect him from the initial wolves, so he doesn't die on the first wave. And that would be the change if you don't have the Mythic plus Thorin. Hopefully, most people are getting him there. We have got a bunch of summons. We should be getting all those compensations in the next day or so with extra summons. On top of that, we got the selector chest today, which gives you a copy of Thorin as well. So hopefully you guys can get him to Mythic Plus. If you can't, like I said, it's a matter of stacking units further back than him, and trying to get Odie to survive as long as possible, because he's going to be your core damage dealer. But once again, with the Mythic Plus Thorin, we can put Odie in the back here, link him to Thorin, and he survives pretty well. Now, in the final spot, you've got some options. If you've got a Mythic plus Corrin, he's great. He adds a bit of damage, but he also has that extra shielding, which is fantastic. You can use something like a Shakira if you have him built. You know, you do have some options. I did test with Merrily. The problem with Merrily is sometimes her movement messes up, and she gets attacked by the wolves and insta dies. But when she doesn't die, she does still do a little bit less performance than what the Corrin does. That was just through my couple tests, but I'm sure with RNG, they were like probably about 2% apart on total damage, so you could probably get similar results. Now, if we go over here, the actual best results I got was with this Lucius. Now, if you're wondering why the hell is Lucius doing anything, it is because of his season skill. Now, for this one, as you can see, increases, and Scarlita is another unit that has this skill, so if you've got investment into Scarlita, you can also try her for this. But I'll explain why this worked, and then I'll go through a demonstration run with Corrin and with with Lucius, but both these runs, the total damage difference between the two runs that I tested them both twice and I took the maximum damage. This one won out by 0.6%. So it's not a massive difference, but like I said, if you don't have that Mythic Plus Corrin, so you're not getting the damage amplification, then maybe Lucius could be an option for you. Once again, increase haste by 8 for all deployed allies if they are alive 10 seconds into the battle. So we get that straight haste increase. Increases the damage dealt by all deployed allies by 8% if they are alive 40 seconds into the battle. And as you can see, we've unlocked level 2 of this one for our level, which goes to 10 and 9%. Obviously, this buff gets better along the way, but we've got a buff of 10 haste after 10 seconds and 9% damage dealt after 40 seconds. Now, the other thing about this is the crazy thing that makes it work is kind of like in other early Dream Realm bosses, how I said using the attack speed artifact can change the attack order of your Coco. This haste also adjusts Coco, and it allowed her essentially to save my Odie from his final death on the last wave of wolves, which gave me like an extra 5-6 seconds of Odie damage, and that's what was super clutch. So there are some variants. Also, we do have the shielding and stuff like that that can come in clutch from the Lucius. But let's go ahead and do what I think most people would see as the stable team, and then compare that to a Lucius team, because like I said, some people may not have Corrin Mythic Plus, and maybe some people did stop the investment on him once the true damage got a nerf. So we're going to look at both these teams and go through it. So let's watch this one first. And like I said, I did try some other artifacts as well, but this one just turned out to be the absolute best one. But once again, if you don't have the Mythic Plus Thorin, definitely test the new artifact with the survival, because it can help you. And you want to move Odie up further so he stays alive for longer, because without that Thorin link, sometimes you are just going to get tapped by the wolves super quick. So as you can see here, Odie surviving really well in that first wave of wolves, which is perfectly fine. So we'll keep going. We'll see how this one goes. Happy days, we get that ult. Once again, Coco super clutch in most of these bosses now, due to the way that she does help protect the team. It's quite fantastic. So there you go. She takes the delayed damage. You can see here, we're going to get her ult right there, and Odie just survives. You can see that just survival that Coco did. And once again, maybe crits or things will have an impact on that. So, testing this again and like retrying to get better scores is always going to be a thing. Now, we might miss timing on this one, on this last enemy. As you can see, Coco is so far away from ulting, which means our Odie is going to die in these last 10 seconds. As soon as these wolves hit, you can see Odie straight dead. So we're at 69%. We're at 2 seconds left. Okay, that was actually a new best score. So this one did creep over again. We'll see if we can get another new best score with the other team. So there you go. And that is, once again, you saw at the end there, we did die with the Odie with like 7 seconds to go, and we ended up with that 71.6. That is pretty reasonable. If your main damage dealer is dying that late into the battle, it's not too bad. Like I said, guaranteeing him to be at the back with the Thorin link is what actually saves us for those early waves of it, because he can mitigate that damage, and Thorin can take that damage for him. But like I said, if I try and do something like this and keep, even like if you had a higher invested Coco, because mine isn't higher invested, the problem is she does move up forward, and when I tested this type of thing, it ended up either being Smokey or Odie that kept getting the second wave of wolves, and it just wasn't working out for me. So once again, you can test those mechanics for yourself if you want, but in my testing, it was not working having Coco as the back row unit because her range is too small. If she had a better range, 100% she would be the unit that I would be baiting back there, but unfortunately, it has to be Odie for me at the moment. So let's go ahead here and let's test this with Lucius in the team. So let's go ahead and slap this Lucius in. And let's take a look at the damage we managed to get. And what I'm hoping you guys can see in this one, and once again, RNG, little bits of RNG can adjust these things as well. So I definitely recommend testing these teams a couple times. You know, you get your 10 attempts, you get 10 more through buying them. I definitely think it's worth trying to, do as many attempts as you can to maximize this. But what I really want you guys to notice is the cycling of my Coco's skills towards the end. And I'm hoping this run demonstrates that well. So let's go here and let's see. So we got Coco using her ult there. Once again, we're getting some damage here. And you can see with this run, the boss was almost in range of the damage the whole time, whereas the other time he went in his like invincible state for longer of the Smokey damage as well, which if you don't have Mythic plus Smokey, that's not the end of the world. It just means you're gonna lose out on that bit of damage. But there we go. So you can see my Odie going there. We're gonna get protection here from the Coco right now. We're keeping up that healing. Now I'm pretty sure hopefully Coco's energy does get back up to full. We should get a shield here from Lucius on, and there's that shield from Lucius, super clutch. Ah, dude, the wolves ran through the cocoa there, really ruining our day. We still got that 297, but like I said, if you get the RNG for that, where the wolves don't run through the cocoa would have actually got her ult off, and we would have been pretty good. Okay, so I went ahead and did another test off camera because I wanted to show you the clutchness of the different timing on that we can get on the cocoa with that new buff. Once again, Scarlett does have the same thing. Lucius shield could come in clutch. I can't test Scarlett on this one, but definitely another unit you can try. But as you can see, we did hit a new best score with this one, 72.7. I can't remember what our best was before that. It was pretty close, so just creeping above. But once again, just amplifying that OD damage is pretty much the name of the game for this one. So I want to show you guys this replay and show you the timing of how it worked. I got no idea why the thing is so foggy on the replay, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Oh, there we go, it's gone. Okay, I swear it doesn't start that foggy normally. I swear this is a denser fog in this replay. But as you can see there, we do get the shield on early. Doesn't really matter. Nothing in this first early wave matters because we're pretty fine. Like I said, if you don't have that Mythic Plus Thorin, it's the second wave where you lose a unit normally. So that's when you're trying to sacrifice something else, maybe your Coco or something early on, or maybe you bring that extra DPS so you still have options. But as you can see from this one, we are getting a decent bit of damage out of that Smokey as well. But Smokey's damage is really nowhere on this fight. So if you don't have him Mythic Plus, it's not the end of the world. It's more about his healing capacity. So there we go. That next round of wolves coming in there, it's not too hectic for us. It's pretty fine. It's the next wave that comes in. That was just the delayed damage from the Coco ult that got our OD really low. That was perfectly fine. And you can see the difference here. This one, the boss starts attacking the Coco. I'm pretty sure that's the difference because that affects your energy regeneration. And as you can see, Coco takes one hit, then she gets the ult. This is the clutch thing on this one. Then Smokey starts getting hit. We do get that shield, which gets instant wiped. I don't think that shield actually saved us at all. I think it was all the damage mitigation from the Coco. And then we ramp up that damage. We get the whole team to survive. We get OD there the whole match. And that is where we peak our damage. But once again, that is what I am seeing for free-to-play players. If you have a Rainier, I think you'll probably get better damage results. Once again, at Mythic Plus, requiring Mythic Plus on the Rainier. But besides that, once again, the key things are Mythic Plus Thorin. Once again, if you don't have that Mythic Plus Thorin, you are going to have to be testing different options. Maybe you try this artifact. There's a few things you can test, but once again, no Mythic Plus Thorin. It becomes trying to have your OD further forward so that he can avoid the first death, essentially. Whether you do that with another ranged damage dealer in the team instead of something like this. So maybe you do something like this just to bait that death, that first death, so that Odie can survive longer into it and get more damage. It's just, it becomes a play around and see. But once again, all these things do depend on also what your damage range on the boss is, because if you're trying to push for 20 to 30%, your strategy is going to be different than pushing that 70 to 100%. But that is, like I said, what I found. This is my personal best ranking team at the moment. Once again, RNG is always a thing, so test teams 3-4 times once you think you're nailing down on your 2 best teams, and that is how you'll find out what your actual best is. But as always, guys, that's the Lone Wolf. I will be back with the other bosses going through over the next few days, showing you guys what I am finding for best damage and stuff like that amongst these bosses. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.